Hey. Hello, everybody. Hey, Nick. Welcome to Track Feedback in 2023. And right away, I want to say we're going in a new direction this year. I'm focusing more on the creative, fun aspects of making music, not the super technical parts of finishing mixes at the last stage. So today, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about an Ableton session I'm working on to show you some sound design. There's my monitor screen. I'm going to show you a little sound design. I'm going to show you a clip stack, which is how I begin to escape the 8-bar loop. We had a really cool post in the Facebook group yesterday. I just asked the question about who is using Session View, and the answers were coming out of the woodwork. People were like, yeah, I always use it. No, I never use it. It's such a great conversation, and for me, Session View is the core of Ableton Live. It's what makes Ableton different from every other DAW. For a super quick summary, all other music production software is based on a linear tape recorder from the old days when you record in a horizontal line and then you stop and you play it back and you listen and you got multi-tracks and you do edits, and it's a horizontal timeline-based production thing. Except Reason, I guess, was not like that so much, but their MIDI roll was like that. The experience of using Ableton is totally different because it's loop-based in a real sense where you actually don't need the timeline. You literally can do everything in the clip view or session view. And what I like about that is that it makes you think of what you're hearing and feel what you're hearing instead of watching it and seeing what's going to happen and be like, okay, I see the drop is coming, I'm going to expect it. That's not how people hear music. When you're in the club, people don't see a screen with a picture coming to show them what's going to happen next or to see a breakdown coming. So, hey, Taib, how you doing? So I really like Session View because it's a much more intuitive, fluid way of making tracks, and that's what I'm all about for 2023. It's actually what I've always been all about, but now I'm realizing how many people are not doing it that way, and I want to push up that kind of vibe in what we're doing. So for a first little intro, we're listening to Levy Mudhouse Hybrid Improvisation Jam. He's doing a lot with 16-bar loops or hardware jams. I was playing this at midnight on New Year's, so I wanted to start off by pointing this out, and this is in the 16-bar loops channel down here, Hybrid Improvisation Jam. And also, I'd like to start with a welcome to Clapjack. That's Andy, who came in and joined us yesterday. Put in a cool intro and said he's looking at minimal deep house subgenre, or the subgenre of minimal deep house, which I think is super cool. Anything with groove to it and a nice bass line. So Andy, here's what I want you to do is post the track immediately. Don't think about it, don't critique it, don't ask if it's long enough or good enough or loud enough or anything like that. Post it. And just for a quick rundown, go down to the house channel, which you should have access to based on your subscription, and go to house tracks, click in, drop a link, and then you click this little thing and do like create a new thread. So you have your own channel or your own thread in the house channel where we can listen to it, give you comments, and you can see all your comments organized in one place. And then next week I'll be able to play it in the stream and give you some tips. You may have noticed, everybody, that the group is way smaller right now. At the end of December, I pruned everything, cut down all the subscriptions from all these other places, and now the only subscriptions are happening in Discord. New people have joined and signed up. Thank you very much for that. A lot of people have not returned and not signed up for the new subscriptions, which is totally cool too. We've all sort of graduated in a sense where Mixotecture is moving into a kind of returning to the core direction of what we're doing. Other people are doing super technical focus on prep for mastering or final mix downs and technical stuff. And honestly, I don't want to do that as my main thing. So I'm happy with the group with the group being where it's at. And my overall plan, just so you know, is that as new people join the hands-on courses and start building sounds, doing loops, making new projects, this group is going to be a place where they can share their homework and get feedback on their audio clips of what they're working on. That's what the container is all about right now. So I understand it's different and it's a little weird, you know, seeing some people come and go. That's how life is, and we will keep moving. Right on point with the snare. So let me stop this and get into some reviews. Here we got ways. What do I want to do? Bad Dream from Nick Club. We're going to do Bad Dream. We're going to do Good Dream. We got some Ben Hunt and we got some Taib. So let's start with Bad Dream, which is early version, feedback on sound design, overall feel, mix, just everything. Let's see what it sounds like. EQ's flat. That's not me breathing. Nice intro. Ben is here. What's up, man? We're going to play the sermon. I want to hear what you did with that bass line. As always, I love to play music with people who are here in the chat. Nick, so far I think the bass could be a little deeper on the intro because it feels like this could be a great, well, I don't know where it's going, but okay, there we go. That opening intro could have a little more low end to make it like feel deep and like ominous or something. Oh, and you know what? I should really get my spectrum up. Okay, so in terms of song structure for a DNB track, at this point, I'm missing the snare. It's like doom, boom, doom, boom. So far, it feels a little closer to the ambient side, but let's see where it goes. I like those kick drum rolls. So the snare position could be a bit louder. That snap on the backbeat on the 2 and the 4 can really be cracking to make it feel like that like D&B energy. Yes, Nick, the stream has definitely started. I like the crunchy kind of effects and like that thing, that sweep. Wow. Now it feels like it's settling more into that the drum and bass feel. Yeah, 175 tempo. I was expecting something more like that. And now we're fading back down to kind of ambient land. So structurally, what I like is that the ending and the beginning are kind of mirrors. It, end as you did begin. That is kind of the golden rule for composition. At this phase, whatever that sound is at 82 hertz, that note E, can those be louder? Let me jack the low end EQ. Like for this ending and for the intro, it would really be cool to have a deep throbbing low, like the womb, whoa. If you could bring up that low sound at this place, it would be cool. And, like if that sound is something you're using during the beats, you're gonna need to automate your EQ or possibly copy the track and have a different track playing the intros and endings so that the kick drum doesn't interfere with that low bass during the track. All right, Nick, you got it going. So let's ask a question. Where does it really start to feel like the beats are hitting, okay? 117. I love the breathing thing. It's like somebody running, like, ha, ha, ha. Emotionally, it makes sense with the title, like Bad Dream, I'm running, something's chasing me, all that shit that we hate is effective. Okay, and then 133. Your track is not wrong. Like, it's energetic and it feels like it matches the title. For the drum and bass genre, when it comes in and there's like that, those claps on every beat, it doesn't feel like the break beat is happening. So around a minute 30, if you want to make the beats drop, like have the official beats drop harder, I would change the clap pattern and not have it so busy yet. I gotta go turn off my fan, hold on. And super specifically, when that beat comes in at a minute 31, I would not have the claps on the downbeat because the beat comes in and it's like da, 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 and it doesn't feel like the breakbeat's happening. So when the let me get the exact moment. When it first starts, keep the claps a little emptier. Later, all those claps are going to be awesome. It builds energy. It takes it up to a higher level, and it feels like busy, 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 which goes with the vibe. So the claps are cool right here because it's part of the buildup, right? When they come back, at minute 30, cut out the claps that are like on the downbeats, right? That's what I'm hearing. And that's not what I want to be hearing. For it to really drop like drum and bass, I want it to hear like dunk, dunk. Let me know if that makes sense, because what you have now is a cool clap pattern at the intro that builds energy. There's a little silence like after a minute 25, and then at a minute 30, strip out some of the claps, only have that big one on the 2 and the 4, and then bring back the fast ones later. It's kind of inside out too, right? 1, 2, 3. The claps are like on the downbeats. Oh, so you're having the busy part as sort of a longer build-up. Yeah, long intro, yeah. Okay, now it's a total shift in pattern. 2:17, it starts feeling like, all right, a jungle track, or, you know, not jungle, but like a little crunchy drum and bass. If you're gonna have a 2-minute intro, the track should probably be longer than 4.5 minutes though. Okay, treating it as a whole build-up. That makes sense. And by the way, the sound design effects are cool right here. That riser, at 2:35, super cool. This part is solid. This feels like, you know, standard DnB genre kind of thing. And then around 3 minutes, you could bring back the fast claps, right? Pop, 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 pop. And the layering is cool. I can feel the lows, I can hear the kick drum and the percussion. The synths are nice and wide. There's a lot going on, but it's not super crowded. And then we're back to the ambient thing. So main 2 things I would do is get more low end happening in the intro and the outro at the ambient sort of parts. At a minute 30, hold off on the clap pattern, specifically because we heard the claps in that intro, and then at a minute 30, strip out some of them so that you can build them back up again later, you know, so we don't hear the same thing quite so repetitively. And maybe make it like 45 seconds longer or something. Yeah, Ben, I agree. It's got that kind of experimental DnB vibe where it's like closer to an ambient set. And if you were going to try and drop this track in a hard set, you would have to really know where to mix it in and maybe not play, or do a super long mix where you're teasing the sounds and the frequencies and stuff without relying on the beats, because it doesn't really kick into like a hard track until like after 2 minutes. Then you could have it come in and stand by itself with doom, that would like carry the vibe of that genre. So I'm being very stereotypical in saying I want to play this in a hard DnB set with other hard tracks, and I have no idea if that's what you want to do. So as a track by itself, as a piece of music, it's interesting, it's cool, it's got depth, it's got some feeling in it and some width, and it sounds pretty good as a mix. Yeah, Taib, you end with this one, yeah. So bring that back on version 2 and see if you can morph it a little bit and make it a little longer. I mean, this could be 6 minutes and I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. So, Waze version 1. This is our coffee conversation. Let's see what's going on. Oh, by the way, the handle, when you're dropping a track, what you do is continue to tag at track feedback crew. That's the same role for all the people who are subscribers now. The only difference is that refers to the new paid subscribers in Discord. The previous one has been changed to TFC 2022. I'm going to delete that after like this weekend because these people don't have access to all our genre channels anymore. Sorry about the confusion on that. That was my fault not to announce it better. And Taib 112 BPM Waze Mix 2. What is he doing here? I love that feeling being proud of the tracks you put out. I cringe every time I hear them. You do, but other people don't. That's a universal production thing. You're going to hear stuff in your tracks that makes you cringe. Other people are going to be like, oh, wow, I had no idea. Same thing is like when you're painting windows in a bedroom. You're going to see little spots you missed and be like, fuck. But other people are going to be like, oh, I love the color. They don't even see the mistakes. So that's my opinion. Anyway, first one that came out in 2019. Redid it some work in the past 2 days. Making some breakdowns, more punchy, which I love. Build-ups, peaks, and drops. Open it up for review. Oh, thanks, beautiful community. Need help with the following. Levels, peak, width, fullness, a snare. What feels uncomfortable? Okay. Look at that live grab that had double the tempo. Interesting that this has a breakbeat feel too after the last one. It's nice and clean so far. I hear the hand percussion, the vocals, and the bass as like 3 elements that are all fitting together, and there's a melody in there. So oh, that low end is heavy. I like it. It's possible the percussion should be a little louder. I feel that the low end is really big. So let me try to cut some bass EQ and turn it up. There's a low shelf EQ cut. And raising the volume to get more of the beats and the mid-range. Because the low end is beautiful, but you don't want it to drown out everything else, you know what I mean? Okay, now I'm going back to EQ flat. Oh, that tambourine. Is that tambourine programmed or did you play that? That sounds super precise. Or did you play it and then loop one thing that makes it exactly the same? Because it feels crisp. What was that little sound that went wah, wah? Minute 50, womp womp. That's great sound design. It's like an indicator or a marker or telling you a phrase is ending, we're starting a new one. Got me doing the bounce. Doom, doom, doom. And we're into the breakdown. All right, cool. 2 tambourines, okay. So the snare that comes in the last section. Good build up. All right, I want to hear that build up again. How did we get there? It feels like swirling. A little bit of a vocal in there. And then the drop, big and empty, heavy low end, nice beats. And that open hi-hat coming in. I like the percussion layering. It's keeping the track interesting all the way. And that string instrument. Bow, 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 bow. Overall, I'm not hearing any actual problems in this one. Of course, I'm in headphones, so I don't want to get too specific on what the mix might need to change. Maybe the low end could come down a little bit. Maybe the mids and highs up a little bit, like as a mastering thing. Little spring reverb on there. Let's hear that again, around 329. I like that spring reverb a lot. That might be a little too much with that rim shot with the plate, the snows, with the spring reverb. Psh, psh. All right, we're coming back to 4 minutes. Totally. So let me just keep going on this. At 3:30, I noticed a new spring reverb. Maybe it was there before, but I noticed it first at 3:30, and I really liked it because it was subtle. It was like that, that springy kind of sound. But a little, like 10 seconds after that, that sample starts playing a little too often, which means we're hearing that reverb too often. It doesn't quite sound like a snare drum solo, like da 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 da. It doesn't quite sound like that. It sort of sounds like sample-y, like the same sample getting triggered exactly the same way a lot of times in a row. Let's just listen to what happens in the next 15 seconds right here. Yeah, 339, 340. Okay. So what I would do is, if you can, bring down the reverb effect on those extra hits. The rhythm and the drum hits themselves sound good. They fit with the beat. But hearing that spring reverb effect on every one of those hits gets to be too much. So like at 3 minutes and 30, keep the spring up, maybe even make it a little louder. So it's like, whoosh. It's such a great sound, right? But don't have that actual reverb on all the subsequent hits. Like after 340, bring that spring down. Yeah, because the drum hits are cool. Just the effect gets a little overplayed. Now, the melody's looping. I can feel a buildup happening. The swell, pitch drop, pitch comes back up, and the drop. Amazing. And now that papery snare is in. I love it. That kind of hammer dulcimer type of melody sound, it really fits really well with the track. Solidly in the organic vibe. The open hi-hat. Yeah, man, this is sounding great. I like the little melody bends. Or half step melody note up and down. Ooh. Okay. Speaking of keeping a track interesting, what just happened at 442? I was really jamming with the melody of the, I'll call it a hammer dulcimer. It was like down, 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 down. Sort of felt like a pitch bend or maybe just a half step variation in the melody note. But around 442, a different melody instrument came in. Let's just like review that a little bit. So here we have, like, let's call it melody 1 is going on. The open hi-hat. That snare is anchoring the whole beat. Right there, 438. That new melody totally keeps it going. That's really good. And it's also not competing against the first melody. And then we're back to hand percussion. The hand drums sound a little bit far away. I'm curious what mic you're using to record those. It almost sounds like you recorded with a dynamic mic. Is that true? like that bell. Oh, that sounds like a kalimba thumb piano. So what are you using to record your drums? I think you told me before, but did you say a 414? Maybe? At this end part, the... Well, it works in the track because there's other high frequency stuff going on, but somehow those drums feel like a little bit distant and they don't seem to be in a space like a natural drum in a room, missing kind of like a higher reverb around those. Oh, those are actually not recorded by you. Okay. So I don't feel like I'm insulting you then. Yeah, when you record hand drums with a dynamic mic, it has this sound of being kind of like rubbery and just not as like up close in front of you. If you record hand drums with a large capsule condenser mic, it's like you hear everything. It's like the difference between a magnifying glass, that's like a dynamic mic is like a magnifying glass, and a condenser mic is like a microscope where you're like, whoa, I can see everything. Moroccan engineer. Yeah, totally usable. Just curious about the tone. All right, so the main thing I would do is back off on the effects around 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And other than that, maybe some low-end adjustments. As always, if you're getting it mastered for release, you want to use some reference tracks and compare it to other stuff in that genre. I like it a lot, personally, like the organic house type stuff. Electronic bass and electronic beats with hand percussion and like folk acoustic instruments for melodies is such a cool combination. Yeah, you record with two 414s. Oh my God, stereo 414s. And I want to hear the melody, the kalimba again at the end. And the chopped up vocals. It's great. You did a really good job with this. There's minor details. The basic thing you want to do is cut out a little bit of the effects so it doesn't go too far. But overall levels, peaks, width, fullness, all good. The snare that comes in at the last section, excellent. Totally kept it driving forward and making breakdowns more punchy. I felt like the breakdowns and buildups really flowed and worked really well. So, cool. Ben Hunt, the Sermon version 2, working on when does the bass line change? Oh, dropping it heavy. Shit, I gotta bring down my broadcast level. That is EQ flat, by the way. Scratchy board. Whoa. Oh, those vocals are prayers. Interesting. Yes, this is that whole intro. Ben, this is sounding great so far. Check if I missed any change log. Good sweep. This is great. The original bass line keeps going here. This is working.
No age,
it's meaty.
No color, just joy.
Great effects. Mix is great.
Come together. And we come and we create. Playing with love, we playing with respect.
I was just waiting for another piece right there.
Playing like it's supposed to be. Like they say where I come from, supposed to be.
There you go. One more time. How do we get there?
We playing like it's supposed to be. Like they say where I come from, supposed to be.
Yeah, bass line changes and there's a little hint of a different melody. Yeah. So at 229, right before that double kick drum bump, you could cut out a couple of kicks right there. And then bring it back in. Kind of like the OSP trick if you just cut a few kicks and then go pop, boom, and bring it back in. Shepard's does that a lot too. Where is Shepard's today, by the way? Good ear candy happening right there on the left side. Okay, now I'm ready for the track to change, something to happen soon. Okay, breakdown. Good, I'm glad you took the hi-hats and the percussion out.
But you know what's important is what we bring in the joy and the music.
Yes, that totally fixed the problem from the bass line thing.
Let's honor them with the music. Let's honor them with the love. Let's carry on for them and keep that light in our heart. And I'm not trying to preach. If we just believe in ourselves, I believe in the universe.
Yeah.
The universe. That's why you gotta keep your mind open.
Yes, now it does feel like a chorus. What could we do to get the energy even higher? After he says, I believe in the universe.
I'm not trying to preach.
Okay. Those words, I believe in the universe, for me, this is the climax of the track. It's about 2/3 of the way through, maybe 3/4. That's the highest energy. So at the next change, when the bass line goes to like the chorus bass line, could you bring in a percussion layer at this section that just makes it crazy? Like maybe a kind of like a swishy open hi-hat that just comes in and is like, psst, psst. Let's hear how we get there. Okay, there's the open hi-hat. It's in already.
I'm not trying to preach. If we just believe in ourselves, I believe in the universe.
344, cut the open hi-hat.
The universe.
That ear candy is awesome. And then 353, go to a different open hi-hat or something that just like to make it like a high frequency percussion thing that takes the energy up to the highest part so you know this is the peak. Right here. Yes. This is your last big fat dance break. I love it, man. This track is great. It's deep and kind of dark but positive. And it has that thing where it's predictable in the best sense, where you know what to anticipate and then you get it. Like you know what you're gonna get and then it happens and it's like, yes. Big D from Matt Schultz. Nice filter sweep, and then it comes back in. And you know it works. Boom, boom, boom. Those 3 deep bass hits again and again. And now we're at the mix out. All right, cool. Version 2 is awesome. You don't really even need a version 3, but you could for final, and that's going to be done soon. So really nice job on that. I love the effects, the delay mixing. The vocals sounded great. There was enough space in between the vocal pieces so we could hear the vocal, the phrase or the word with the delay effects for a while to keep it feeling full without overloading with too many words and too much effects. So that was really, really nice. You guys might notice there's a little asterisk at the front of this track. I went in today and that's something I'm going to experiment with. So I know which ones I've reviewed and I wanted to be able to see, okay, I want to play this today. I want to play this today. So hopefully that's not going to be annoying or get confusing or anything. Now, Good Dream. Let's get this done, and then I want to show you a little session I was working on. No. Good Dream. EQ flat. What do we got? Yeah, seriously, Ben, just changing to a different open hi-hat sample after that thing about I believe in the universe. So the ending section has just a different hi-hat. That would be awesome. So Nick, are these really coming from dreams? Great sound design. I like that scratchy stuff that's kind of oozing back and forth. So this is from a sound design session, yeah. I just heard an inhale, right? Yeah. Push this up a little bit. Now this one has a nice deep bass on there. Wow. C sharp. This is really nice. What did you ask for on this? Super ambient, lush sound world, playing with the simple melody. I would put this last on the album so that we have a nice, like, spacey ending. All right, Ben, thanks for hopping in, man. Oh, is it stopping? Whoa, that was like super peaceful. Definitely feels more like a good dream. And you have yet to mix it down completely. Okay, so let's just think about what's happening in the music. Basic chord or melodic cycle implying a chord progression. We're not really hearing the chord progression. I like that freaky breathing. That just the inhale and exhale is like breathy. So now we have a bass line melody that's an interval. I'm gonna check mono. Much bigger with the stereo effects. I can still hear the sounds, but if you look at the phase scope, this is maybe not going to be the best track to play in mono. Which is okay, because not every track is going to be designed for a big, like, one speaker club experience kind of thing. I like that crash. What's that high frequency thing right here? 235, there's like a crash sort of wispy sound that works really well. The stereo field delinquent. I like your sound design a lot. What are you using for these layers? How many different synths, or where are you designing your sounds when you do that? Piano is nice. And it gives me the feeling of somebody like slowly sitting at an acoustic piano, hitting a few notes, and then like they're looking at a forest where there's like magical stuff happening or something, like in Dream World. That's beautiful. I don't have any arrangement tips. I mean, it comes in, it flows, it builds up to a sort of a climax in the in the middle, and then builds back down, which is what music needs to do, and it's nice and ambient. So about 34 layers. Oh my gosh, yeah. It comes in slow, takes people on a journey. That's what music needs to do. I'm going to try to actually avoid getting too deep into the mix. Work on it and feel what you need to do. Possibly some of these piano notes around like the 1000, 2000 hertz range might need a little bit of EQ so they're not kind of like spiky. Using a lot of serum, okay. I hear that like the wispy stuff, the fluttery stuff, the like modulated sounds. Yeah, resampling is fun. Okay. I do want to keep listening to that, but I don't want to keep listening to it forever. Because specifically, I wanted to show you some of the stuff I've been doing in my own universe of creation. So Nick, I hope that's helpful to just get some encouragement. I would put that last on the album and have the other track earlier, especially now that the Bad Dream track, we've identified a couple things that could make it feel like it has a little bit more clear structure to be like a long intro that comes into a drum and bass track rather than an ambient track that has beats in the middle. You know what I mean? I actually think the Bad Dream is solid enough to be a rhythmic, like DNB kind of thing in the spacey dimensions. So, all right. Anyone use Soothe 2? No, I don't use Soothe 2. Again, I've been avoiding VSTs because I want to teach all in Ableton with stock plugins that everybody can get to from the native stuff. So what are we doing here? Let me play a track, and I'm going to show you sound design where I took one instrument and made a bunch of different parts, and then I'm going to show you what I call a clip stack in the drum rack, where I made like kind of a development. So let's start with the basic track. It's over there. So watch as we go through the drum rack, you'll hear new sounds coming in. We got a new sound in every scene. And that's still, I didn't do the effects on the drum rack yet. And here's like another clap layer, okay? This bass line is a little bit like the opening of Ben Hunt's track, just one note rhythmically. Boom, boom. Open hi-hat. Now, tambourine 2 and 3, I'm playing with different tambourine patterns. Here's my tambourine channel. What happens with tambourine 2? I just changed it, and this is where a session view is really, really powerful. Here is a question. I have a tambourine, and I don't know where to program the beats. Like, if I was standing in the room playing a tambourine, I could listen and do that like chicka ticka chicka ticka 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 chicka ticka or whatever. But when you're programming the beats and you're trying to make hand percussion feel like a person playing it, it's not clear. Do I want to go da 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 da, or do I want to go da da dun da da dun da da dun? All right. So here's pattern 1. Hey, Matt Schultz, what's happening? And then pattern 2. And then, of course, I didn't know, so I went to pattern 3. And notice that In the tambourine, to give it some variation, I made the first hit higher velocity and the other three lower velocity. Really listen to the tambourine. And this sounds sample-y to me. I worked on this yesterday, just made the beat. I want it to be like two different tambourine samples, so it's like ticka 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 to sound as natural as possible. It takes a little more work to program that. Type, it's late, right? Yeah. But a basic technique that I'm showing you is how to take a drum rack and in every clip, or you make different clips for the different sounds, okay? So there's hi-hat closed, second hi-hat, claps, more claps, open hi-hat, and then the tambourine comes in. This is a basic session view production technique where I can go through the master channel, play every scene for 4 bars, and end up with like 32 bars of music where the drums are always changing. It's staying interesting. You hear layers come in and out that make the energy build up and build down. And you don't have to print it in the arrangement. Like if I had all this in the arrangement in a timeline, and I was saying like, oh, you know, from 33 to 41, I like this beat. And then from 41 to 49, I got to copy and paste that. Like the cool thing about session view is when you have different variations available, you can play something like this with a different melody, okay? I just muted a bunch of notes and I have only that melody. And now I want to ask the question, well, which beat is going to feel good? Like the melody gets simpler. Maybe I want to go to a simple beat. Oh, Taib, you were responding to Matt. I thought you said the tambourine had a swing that was late, which I would totally accept that, especially because you play hand percussion. So what I'm doing right now is I made this scene down here. I'll call this one simple melody. And I'm asking the question, which drum layers are going to sound good with this melody? The closed hi-hat sounds a little too simple, but I kind of like it. So I'm going to hit the duplicate button, make a new scene with that one. And I don't want to go to the second hi-hat. I want to go to hi-hat with a clap this time. Okay, and that felt good. So I'm going to hit duplicate. I'm going to push, make a new scene with that one. And now I know that I want to have a little bit of a dropout. So I'm going to hit stop on that clip, duplicate so I get it back. And then duplicate again. So I just built a new song section. What's happening here is I didn't like it with tambourine 3. Let's make a blank scene to indicate here's a new section, right? And simple section. What did I do? I made a simpler melody that's not the main melody, and I want to come into this part of the track and have the beats layer up, but not the same way as the intro. Like in the beginning of the track, the first time you hear the beats layer, you have one hi-hat, another hi-hat, and then a clap, and then another clap. That could be 32 bars, 8 times 4 right there. On the second drop, I don't want to wait 32 bars to get back to that level of intensity. So what I'm going to do is, like you just saw me do, I pick out clips, add new scenes, and create something I can play through to get 32 bars of music where the drums develop faster. It's going to go like this. I like the crunchy stab thing. What is that? That's in the drum rack. I think it's wait, I can't talk and count in my head. There, so I wanted to have the kick drop out. I believe the are you talking about that clap too? Yeah. Matt Schultz, that's a lot of stuff to do in session view. For me, it feels like playing a video game, honestly. Now, I want to show you another cool trick. This chord pattern is happening like every 8 bars. You can see it kind of comes in before bar 9, swells up, and then 9 is the drop again. So I want to be able to trigger this scene with a missing kick drum to be a little variation, but I don't want to re-trigger that clip. So this one, I'm going to go to the launch box and select legato, meaning when this clip fires, it's going to keep playing. It's not going to restart. So here, what I'm going to do is play this. These two are going to make 8 bars that lead to that. So I'm going to play like 7 bars of this, 1 bar of that, and then go to here. And I'm going to label it So everybody knows 7 plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2. All I want to do is drop out the kick drum before the next section. 6. And then the kick drum comes back in. So that's how I can create a transition, basically, all in session view. I'm building song structure and creating transitions and stuff. Just a little transition where the kick drum drops out and then comes back in on the next drop. And I use the legato switch to allow this swell, the diminished 7th chord swell, to happen without cutting that off. And I keep doing this. So I'd have like basically this, this scene from up here would be the intro. This scene where we go to the simple melody would be like the second big drop where you don't want to have the melody getting boring. And then, you know, I'm building it up, doing transitions and stuff. Yes, Matt, this is the foundation of creating a live set. That's exactly what I'm doing. Exactly. And the fun stuff is like, if I get to a part of the song where I'm playing it and it feels boring, I can just literally click to a different scene, play a different combination of sounds, and get a different feel. It does help a lot to label your scenes so you know what's going to happen. Right now in a small set like this, I can visually see, okay, that scene has no kick drum, so I can always come, drop that scene, and then come back to something else. And when you have them labeled like drop 1, gap, you know, whatever, transition, you can just go vertically between the different scenes in the master channel and hear different song sections, which you can improvise. It gets so much better after that. You can use follow actions and have them automatically go through the different variations and stuff. So it lets you do an improvised song structure or a live set. Taib, yeah, you can highlight multiple clips and make them all legato as well. Absolutely. You can shoot off fireworks until February. Color code the scenes. I do that a lot. Yeah, I color code with those. So that's just a quick little thing about why I love Session View and what I do with it. And actually, now that I think about it, in this part of the video, I would like to be doing this with a more public audience and showing them, here's what I do with Session View. Here are some lessons based on that. So I might start doing these little mini lessons as a public stream instead of part of the track feedback. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. The other thing I wanted to point out about this track is that all the instruments are coming from the same synth. So let's get a simple kind of drum layer and show you the instrument. See, that's a long MIDI note. That's coming from this lead instrument where it's actually looping the ADSR envelope, which is kind of a cool thing. In the amp envelope, you can loop the attack, decay, sustain, release, or attack, decay, release. There's different options. So this is not actually multiple MIDI notes going dum 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 dum. I got this thing looping and then changed the decay time on there to make it, to kind of beat match it. And then I added a little bit of reverb on there. Let's go to the original melody and look at this instrument. Again, you have notes. Just holding down keyboard. So what happens if I tweak those attack and decay things while I'm playing? I get all this cool variation where the melody is changing. No, the melody is not changing. The sound of the melody is changing. And you get that feel of like electronic music where somebody's tweaking knobs and making it sound cool. And you get variation and repetition. The key of interesting music for all time is variation and repetition. Mozart and Bach were doing it. They would take a little idea, do it until they got bored, and then change it, and it sounded awesome. You can do this too with electronic music, and the way to do it is set up controllers that modulate your sounds. You've probably heard me say this a million times in track feedback. The best buildups are things that come from a sound that's already in the mix and then we hear it morph and change, and we're like, whoa, how did that sound just become a buildup out of nowhere? Well, this is how you do it. You play with your ADSR envelopes, you play with your filters, your LFO modulators, and you generate buildups by doing that. I love the conversation a second ago about resampling. It might be a really cool thing to do. Take this synth sound and resample it so that I have some variations and stuff. And that's even before we get to the effects. So in the hack section, where I'm only hearing 3 notes, guess what I'm going to be doing? Oh, the feedback's already modulated in there. There's my feedback envelope. Echo feedback. Let's maybe make this get like huge and then come back down a bit. So it'll be like way too much and then come back down. I like that. And we're just modulating the feedback. So what if I do a little envelope slurp so that the echo is like going to repeat the little fast part, right? Maybe I'll do it the other way. Yeah, put in a long note into the delay. And we just get tons of variations that sound interesting all the time. And more than that, it's fun for me. I get to play with this stuff, tweak some knobs, hear all these different things happening and be like, oh my gosh, that's happening for me and I didn't even know it was going to do that. So that's what I like about sound design with transitions in mind. Every time you're tweaking a sound, you should be thinking about a buildup. Every time you're doing a sound design session, try and think, how can I resample this as it changes over time to make a sound that goes from a flat line into a ramp? Okay, so sound design is all about making climaxes, making transitions, making ramps that change over time, or essentially making variations. It's not about just designing a sound that's going to stay the same forever and never change. I mean, for a sub bass and a bass line, those are the ones that are more common to stay in place and be fixed because it's like a root heavy bass sound and other stuff is kind of swimming around on top. But you can definitely tweak the shit out of your bass line too, and that's what electronic music is all about. All right, thanks for the comments on that. Last thing is I wanted a chord part and I wanted to do it with the same synth. So I changed some of the parameters and I had to put it like really long attack time so the sound kind of ramps in. Oh man, this new keyboard is like, I have a non-Mac keyboard, so when I go to do my key commands from my production muscle memory, it doesn't always do what I want it to do. Okay, now we're just looping that one thing. Okay, Matt, I see your comment. I want to just tweak this attack a little bit. Short attack, it's a stab. Which also kind of sounds cool. The timing is off because it's before the down, the bar line, but so since it's coming in before the measure, maybe a little more of this. And what if we just did a chirp with a long release? Yeah, I don't like that so much. How much can we undo? Yeah, echo is great. So what did I do here? I made a swell that comes in before the downbeat of bar 9. The long attack time makes it ramp in like a riser kind of thing. Let's get it lined up again with melody. So Matt was saying about in echo you can do some, what did you say? The percentages below the timing controls, yes. To get a little bit of a drift early and late with the delays, right and left. Let's go a little harder with that. And small numbers work well with this, like way below 5%. How far can we go? Yeah, that's too much. Okay. Getting a little bored with this. I want to launch a new scene with new sounds right here. And that's going to do it for our little track feedback stream today. It's been an hour already. So thanks for hanging out and watching, everybody. Great job on the progress. I'm super excited to hear your tracks as always. And just to recap, what I'm doing in 2023 is focusing more on creative production, the fun part of making tracks with interesting sound design, build-ups, peaks, and drops in the song structure. I'm not going to do as much super detailed technical review because I did that for 4 years or whatever. I want to do more of the fun stuff right now in session view and really show people how I escape the 8-bar loop using clip stacks, scenes, and making song sections in session view that allows you to jam, improvise, find the right combination of sounds, instantly change it if it gets boring, and play by feel, literally using your intuition on the fly to make songs that sound awesome. And it's not just playing clips and hearing it like, oh, I'm having fun. You can do all those things I just described and make new scenes and end up with a full track in the arrangement that people can listen to. It's going to sound like somebody's having fun improvising, but it's going to hit all the targets you need for a great mix and a great structure that makes sense. One of the problems with live jamming is that you can get stuck in a situation where you want something to change, but you don't have time to get to that control fast enough to drop the kick drum or mute a one sound that's going on too long. And the result is that your live jam can be 15 minutes long and it's a little repetitive and boring, which is okay for techno sets when everybody's freaking out and tripping and whatever, and you're like, okay, long sets. But at the moments when you want to be able to quickly have a snappy change, Session View allows you to do that with clips and scenes and different combinations of sounds. I totally love it. And it's interesting to me to see how other people produce, because for me, Session View is where it's at. Oh, Ben is back for bedtime. Cool, man. If I want to watch the replay, we just did a couple of cool things with sound design and song structure in Session View. So that's it. Again, thank you to everybody for subscribing on Discord and coming with us. If you're watching the stream, no, this is an unlisted stream, so I'm only talking to subscribers right now. This is not a public stream. I'll be doing some more of those to show these techniques in a way that leads to some lessons people can find and join to do this stuff inside live. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, you can always send me a message, steve@mixitexture.com, or hit me up on Discord. And I'll see you in Discord, and then the next live stream is going to be again on Friday. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Happy 2023, and watch out for those fireworks. Yeah, Matt, 3% is too much. Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, I'm out. Peace, everybody.